You might very well think that. I could not possibly comment.
Chapter 2. The M4-78 That Could Have Been. I sent emails to many of the folks on the team, Team Bantha, but only 2 responded. But don't worry, folks. I have plenty of text I can quote. Let's start by hearing from one of the team members, Archon 2. Why did Team Bantha want to work on this project in the first place?
We were inspired by the Team Gizka modification.
The Team Gizka modification was more formally known as the Sith Lords Restoration Project, or as commonly abbreviated TSLRP. That project was designed, by fans, to restore some of the content that was cut from the game during the completion process. While the droid planet M4-78 was not being restored in TSLRP, content such as extended conversations, alternate endings, deeper subplots, such as the Cut Geno Haradan quest and the HK manufacturing plant, were to be restored. Additionally, the mission of that mod was to fix bugs that remained in the game even after release. The mod was only officially available to the modding team. A leak to the general public occurred sometime in June 2008. Soon afterwards, updates to the mod began to dwindle and eventually stop. This was eventually followed by the closing of Team Gizka's forums. This series will not be dealing with the intricacies of TSLRP. I'm just giving some general background here, so let's shift back to M4-78. Archon 2 continues.
Pavlos and I essentially spearheaded the Team Bantha M4-78 modifications. He lived in the UK, I believe, and I on the west coast of the USA, and so I'd wake up early and we'd chat and work on the mod. We found most of the material through some sleuthing of the game files and began working on a story to expand on.
Who was on the team, and what were their assignments? Pavlos. Programming, splicing. Archon 2. Resources, dialogue, videos. Detective Bart Lassiter. Scripts, and developing the installer. What were the general plans for the mod?
Our primary aim: to fully restore the droid planet of M4-78 as best we can. Sometimes want us to invent things to make other parts fit. Our secondary aim: to be 100% compatible with the fabled TSLRP. We wouldn't make you choose between them now. Other aims on summarizing points: to be fully compatible with TSLRP, a fully voiced and scripted encounter with the long-lost Master Vash, along with her young and headstrong Padawan, Ka. Of course, there is the matter of a whole new planet with a storyline you have never experienced. Fully voiced encounters with all the droids you may meet along your way. To be fully 100% compatible with TSLRP. Plenty of those lovely dark side and light side choices, and an opportunity to bring even more destruction to the galaxy. Originally rendered films for the planet, brought to you by ATI and 3ds Max. To be fully 100% 10 out of 10 absolutely compatible with TSLRP.
How much of Team Bantha's work was completed?
We had actually some voiceover already generated with droid effects, and we were in the process of looking for actors. Yeah, there isn't a whole lot of anything left on my side either. I've been through several new PCs, and since then, I haven't really backed up anything.
I managed to add sound and music to Archon 2's CGI introduction sequence.
What was the general plot?
In the case of M4-78, it does not matter what the developers wanted the planet to be like. There's not enough of it to restore properly anyway. So long as it fits the mood of the game, it doesn't have to. You could texture Citadel Station a lurid pink and fill it with pixies if you like. No idea why you would want to, but some people are fond of these ideas. Make what you and your teammates want to make, because that's the only way anything of quality will come out. If you try to think like Kevin Saunders, I think he was the lead for M4-78, don't kill me if I'm wrong, then it will inevitably fail. Because guess what? You're not Kevin Saunders.
There's not enough from that statement to make a determination of the plot, but it does seem like they were trying to stay as close to the information for the TLK as possible. In addition, both the team website and the M4-78 forums at Team Gizka have been deleted a long time ago. Just out of curiosity, what color was Vash's lightsaber?
Unfortunately, it's been years and years since I worked on M4-78. I honestly couldn't tell you which colour we had for Vash's lightsaber. White or silver sounds familiar, and it does make sense for us to have reused an existing crystal colour rather than invented our own. Unless there was something we didn't like about it. Honestly, I'm just guessing now, and you can do that as well as me. Hopefully one of the other former team members was able to give you a more helpful answer. Personally, I've always thought purple suited her. It really is flattering to know that someone can still be curious about a project you worked on approximately 10 years ago.
I can't confirm the color of the lightsaber for Vash or Ka either. I do slightly remember making a choice that made Vash a bit more unique than the others.
On your website, you guys announced that you were restoring the white lightsaber, which was apparently replaced by the cyan saber. Will you be replacing the cyan, or would this be a completely new color?
A new one. We're trying to make the planet blend into the game, so we probably won't take out anything we don't have to. Besides, being more work for us, it will probably piss people off if we do something like kill Beodur.
What went wrong? Though I could just continue to quote portions of Pavlos' extensive post-mortem of the Team Bantha's M4-78 attempt, I'd rather post the whole thing. Luckily, I haven't voiced this, so at least there will be some variety. Links to the post-mortem can be found in the links below.
M4-78 Restoration Project. Post-mortem and general tips. This thing has basically ended up as a don't do this rant, but it still has a few answers in it. When making a major mod, it would be wise not to repeat the mistakes of the M4-78 RP team, named Team Bantha by a group of mad forumites. Each of us made our own mistakes, and we all made collective mistakes. Get the difference between concept and actuality drilled into your head. There were all kinds of wonderful plans in place for M4-78, made possible by the awesome abilities of Archon 2 and 3DS Max. I remember that my particular pet project, and I was pleased with the writing for this, was an elaborate flashback sequence which meant many an hour sitting there informing Archon 2 of camera positions and drawing storyboards for my own use. Hours that would have been better spent working on the actual mod and putting such a project on the back burner. It would be nice to have the Harbinger fly over the central zone when Vash is about to be captured by Scion Sith assassins, but working on that while other sections were still not even up to a beta stage made no sense. In essence, use milestones, please. For the love of God, use milestones. Milestones allow you, as the mod leader or as a whole team, to set targets, which must be met. Here are some examples. M1. Plan out the main plot and all its intricacies with a core team. M2. Implement the major structure of the mod with very little scripting, using notes held in square brackets, and describe camera angles, but do not make them. M3. Set the leading designers, the people who originally came up with most of the plot, to work on the cutscenes in the game, adding in animated cameras and scripting the actions to take place. While this is being done, set others to work on creating rudimentary side quests in much the same manner as M2's plot was implemented. M4. Pull on beta testers for the main plot, people who can point out the gaping flaws that always occur in your I have a habit of overlooking stupid things in scripting logic. M3's team of side quest creators should now be working to polish the quest to the standard of the main plot. The main plot implementers should be bug fixing in the main plot as well as helping with the side quests. M5. Begin rendered film development and move everyone onto bug fixing. If it is desirable, advertise to budding voice actors so that you can voice all of that dialogue. M6. Release the mod and provide support in the form of content and bug fixing patches. Each patch must undergo the same milestones as the actual mod. We had a plan, but it wasn't as structured as the milestone system adopted later on in our, being me, Archon 2, Black Nadja and later Emperor Devon, frequent attempts to keep the thing from falling apart. The milestones are vitally important for a successful mod. It ensures that if you get sick of the mod after half a year of working on it, you actually have something to release. In essence, the idea of milestones was something of a learning curve for me. It was only near the end of the mod's life that I suggested the idea to Emperor Devon. And I don't think it should be a learning curve for others because it costs time and effort and may ultimately cost so much of your time that the people you were about to ask to tackle Problem X have already left the mod or disappeared into the ether. It's wonderful to have a dream, but can you implement it? The fact is that the original team had very little exposure to KOTOR modding. I think all of them had done some form of modding in the past. As many people inform you in HoloWan, start small. For the sake of humanity and your sanity, start small. Having a core team filled with people who didn't really know what they were doing, who were sitting in front of a large mod, led to a lot of things about doing things, but not a lot of doing them. This got better, of course, as the team learnt their stuff and brought aboard new members. When you work with a reasonably large team, it is difficult to know who is working on what. There is a simple solution that can be difficult to implement due to the troubles of geography and time zones. Getting up extra early to talk with Archon 2 about how a planet approach should look is soul-destroying. Set up a wiki which will hold all of the team's essential information. The Track Wiki project comes with a nifty built-in ticket tracker which allows you to split assignments up between people on the project. CVS. It truly is a wonderful version control system. Set a server up and no one will ever be in danger of overwriting anyone else's work, and everyone's work is stored in the same place, so a realistic tab can be kept on progress, and if your computer crashes, all of the project files are not lost. It's wonderful. Again, this is something that was not sorted until much later on in the project. I really would recommend using a program like Eclipse for managing your files. It can be a little hefty for just CVS, it is a Java development platform at the same time, but after flitting between programs, I've pretty much decided that the lumbering Eclipse is the best bet. When it comes to actual story concept, a live chat is absolutely essential. Do you think game developers contact each other by email? You need a live chat to get a coherent story, and you need someone willing to devote time to typing the plot up and placing it as a master document on the wiki, or if you prefer, on CVS. Also, make sure that the team assigned to the story is fairly small. An artist may not be able to write as well as person X, but they may have ideas about the plot. Listen to them. Create several rough drafts and put them on display for the rest of the team to nitpick. Then take into consideration what they've said and create a second draft, and then a third draft, and so on until everyone is happy with the plot. If someone is unhappy, then you have to find out why and consider whether or not the fact that the radiation in the central zone doesn't have a half-life is really worth your attention. If one person is not happy, you can A. come up with another draft, or B. shoot them dead, which is not exactly recommended. When writing your dialogue, please think of how normal people interact and offer the player multiple role-playing options. If they don't want the droid to be sent into the central zone just yet, or are having second thoughts about going to the planet, allow the person to back out of it at most points. You cannot guarantee that your mod will be liked by all, so a get out clause is a blessing for someone who doesn't want to continue just yet. Dialogue nodes, outside of plot essential conversations, that is, cutscenes, that do not possess a "I'm sorry I must go" option, or the rough equivalent, can be hellishly annoying to the click-happy player. Do not make them fight your mod. They won't like you for that, and you may receive angry letters in the mail with various crude references to your parentage. Do not feed the player a cutscene that is far from essential that cannot be skipped. Consider a character's personality traits, and think about how realistic it is that they all say, "commit suicide." I'm thinking of Car, Vash's Padawan here. After listening to Hamlet's to be or not to be soliloquy, would you expect him to go off immediately and murder Claudius in cold blood before considering the possibilities? No, you would not. Unless you're bored with the play by that point and are hoping that it will end very, very soon. People are strange, yes, but they are very mechanical at the same time. They will only do something unusual if they are driven to by extreme circumstances or pressures. For Kreia to murder rather than manipulate would be unusual and would either leave the player thinking, oh that was cool, if done well like the Jedi Master scene, or, huh? If done badly. Don't splice voiceovers together. It will result in bleeding ears and you hearing problems with your created voice files that no one else can hear. Sure, it may sound cool and add something to the mod, but for the amount of time it takes up, it's really not worth it. And then add into that, if you want the lines to sound natural, then dialogues with your party become exceptionally limiting. Many successful mods have been done without voiceover. Just look at Princess Artemis Dustil mod, or even the Dark Apprentice series, or almost every mod for Neverwinter Nights 1 and 2. If you really want to voice the dialogue for your party members, then make sure it is low on the priorities list, and is done after the main body of the mod is made. This is another case of me spending a lot of time on polish when other parts of the mod aren't even implemented. These are lessons that were not learned until much later on in our project, and by that time 1 or 2 people had already begun to drift and Valek had already left, admittedly due to work, but the point is still valid. Work we have done will most likely not be released because 1. I do not have the permission of everyone involved to do so. 2. I don't like releasing a jumble of files that are in a playable but somewhat pathetic and slightly broken state. 3. The story we came up with is not the story of the designers. You'd be restoring someone else's attempts to recreate someone's work. 4. I've had bad experiences with seeing beautiful visions shattered by someone else doing the work in the past. Take one of the dialogues I have planned out step by step, for example, describing camera angles and actions with time references. What if someone wants to use my writing but do it in their own way? I wouldn't be happy with what was produced, quite simply. Call it pretension if you will. 5. The time taken to transfer all the information to a new set of modders, explain what point X meant on the plan and why Y is sarcastic when he's a droid, would be ridiculous, and right now I have not the time to answer 1,000 emails a minute. 6. A lot of the files produced by the other members, or they swore were produced, were never uploaded to CVS.
Even though Team Bantha released no version of the mod and only brief videos are the only thing that remain, the post-mortem does clearly indicate a good route for folks to proceed on any large-scale mod. No small feat there. But what's next for M4-78? Find out in the next chapter